Trade season is here. DeAndre Hopkins is a Chief. Alvin Kamara has a new deal, so he's probably not on the move. But what targets are left for the Broncos? We're talking about it today on the DNVR Broncos podcast, and we'll see you in 30 seconds. Welcome into the Toyota Lounge. This is the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by Bet365. I'm Henry Chisholm. That's Todd Davis. We've got Yaya. What producing? Is that how we say it?
Producer.
Yeah, producing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's having fun. Zach isn't here yet. Late. And he specifically told us just to BS and to not talk football for 5 minutes.
I thought that we were gonna act like he was here the whole time.
Oh, were we?
Just when he came in, he was gonna cut to other shots. So,
well, that's a waste.
I guess the cat's out of the bag.
The cat is out of the bag. What have you been up to?
I got 4 kids and football. So, a lot is going on. But life is good, man. I can't complain. The Broncos are doing well, so I'm happy about that. I'm actually going to the game on Sunday.
Wow.
So that'll be fun to see them kill the Panthers. That's talking football, but that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, damn, we did it. Yeah, no, that's good stuff. You had a lot of energy this morning. Why? You just come up singing, all that sort of stuff?
I slept in today.
Oh,
today,
okay.
wasn't my day to take the kids to school, so I was like, you know what? I'll hit the gym after the podcast, so I slept in a little bit, so maybe I have a little more energy than normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of out of things to BS about without Zach. We might just have to talk about football.
Yeah, let's chop it up. You know? We don't have to get too deep into the weeds, but we can chop it up.
DeAndre Hopkins is a Chief. When you woke up, well, for me, I woke up, looked at my phone, it's like, he's a Chief. That's kind of a shitty way to start a day, I feel like.
Yeah. Is DeAndre Hopkins still the DeAndre Hopkins we know him to be, dominant receiver?
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's definitely half washed, but he's not fully washed yet, and he's a lot better than anybody else they have.
He is, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So he's going to help the team, but I don't know. I'm not nervous right now. I think that's they're trying to fill the need that they have, but I don't feel like they filled it with a piece that I'm nervous about. So I think it's okay. I think the Broncos can still find a way to get a win. At least split it. I don't think we'll lose twice to the Chiefs. I know that.
Yeah. So there have been, 3 big name receivers who've moved? DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, and Browns guy, Amari Cooper.
Yep.
Which one's the best? How are we ranking those?
Devontae Adams.
He has to be, right?
Yeah, he's definitely the best.
And I think probably Cooper second, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But Devontae Adams is still I don't know if you could say he's in his prime, but I think still one-on-one, he's going to beat 90% of the corners out there, outside of Pat Surtain. He's a dominant wide receiver still, so he has to be number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's scary when the Chiefs add somebody like that because it just feels like it's going to work for him. But 173 yards so far this year, and that's probably 6-7 games. It's really no big deal. And that Titans offense obviously is holding him back, but it's just going to stink if he makes big plays against the Broncos, and it feels like they might find a way to make that happen.
I don't see it. You know what kind of defense we play.
I know. It's true. You've got Pat.
We lock everybody down. I think Pat O'Reilly will have a good day.
Pat O'Reilly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think either of them will have a good day against DeAndre Hopkins. He's no slouch, but we have 2, pretty dang good corners on our team. I'm not nervous about wide receiver matchups. Really the rest of the year, honestly. Bring them on.
No, I mean, I think that's probably a good call because it's not like you play the Dolphins or anything. And even if you do play the Dolphins, they stink.
Quarterback.
That's true. Yeah.
Did you see Tua's press conference?
Yeah.
Kind of made me I'm happy that he's passionate about football, but he was he loves it to the death of him, and I was like, that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the exact problem that we're talking
about.
Exactly. For me, I feel like it's always about health, and I know he has a passion for the game, but if there's ever a situation where your health could be at risk, I wouldn't do it. But that's not me, and that's not my decision to make. That's just like, what I would do.
Well, it's crazy. Like, there's just so many people out there who are saying, like, you can't play anymore. Like, you have to protect him. Like, it feels like there's so many people sticking up for him everywhere. Even people who aren't really, like, football fans talk about it. But then he shows up and he's like, what? No, I mean, it's fine. I'm going to play football, and I'm not wearing a Guardian cap because it looks silly. Like, that's basically what it came down to. And so for all these people to be like, oh, we got to protect Tua, like, save Tua and all that sort of stuff. And he's just like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to go play football. Just kind of a strange dynamic.
I think the Guardian cap does look silly, but if anybody needs to have it on, I think it definitely has to be.
You would think.
You would, yeah. Like, you have to. It's not even a question. Like, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, if you're set back out on that field, you have to wear the Guardian cap.
Mm-hmm. It's like, what, $250 million they've invested in him?
Yeah. It's a
you
must.
got to protect it. Yeah. Like, you can't just let that go to waste. I wonder if eventually the league's going to mandate the Guardian cap.
No, they can't do that to everybody. That thing is ugly.
It is ugly, and I hope they
Absolutely
don't.
ugly.
Oh, I hear somebody run out the steps.
But big news coming in while Zach comes in. Cody Barton named AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
You beat me to it.
That's big time as a linebacker for the Denver Broncos. He had an amazing game and really was a game changer within that game. He had the interception for a touchdown. He made plays the entire game. So, hats off to him. AFC Defensive Player of the Week, Cody Barton.
What's up, fellas? Congratulations to an inside linebacker hosting the show and winning AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Pretty cool. I mean, no brainer though, right?
Yeah, no, I think he, outplayed the rest of the competition in the AFC. If he had got that fumble for a touchdown, or if he had that other interception, he would have had a monster game.
What'd you guys think? Should that have been an interception?
What do they call it? I keep hearing people call it.
It was a
both
fumble.
ways. Yes, that's what I thought it was.
The quarterback was hit, and so it was a fumble, even though it was picked off. I don't know. That confused me.
It never touched the ground.
I thought it was a pick six.
Yeah, technically never touched the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that just be an interception if it goes from the quarterback?
No, because he lost it.
Right, and so that's why.
Because you can catch a fumble, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't watch. It could have been.
You didn't watch the game?
Well, no, I did, but I wasn't. But you have those replays where it's like, okay, we gotta go over this over and over and over and over. It's like, where was the arm? Was it there? Was it there? Was it there?
Whoa, that's crazy work. That's crazy work.
That was a bad one.
Talk about Cody Barton and his AFC Defensive Player of the Game. You start going crazy.
He didn't play well, but that one, it's like
Cody deserves a little something for that award.
It's a Broncos touchdown either way. You don't need to worry about exactly where it happened.
I think one guy was gypped of an award though. I think Will Lutz was gypped of AFC special teams. I don't even know who they gave it to, but Will Lutz outscored the Saints in his return. He had 15 points, and the Saints had 10. Will Lutz was 4 for 4, including a couple deep ones on field goals, and then 3 extra points as well. He should have got that award. We should have almost had a clean sweep. Now, Javonte maybe could have gotten it with 2 touchdowns, but I don't think enough yards. I think Will Lutz is a guy that was gypped.
Yeah, I think it's always tough as special teams to get that award because you got to do something spectacular. Usually, normally it's like a, super long kick, almost 60 yards.
Yeah.
Or it's 4 punts inside the 10-yard line. You got to do something pretty crazy. I don't even know who won it.
It was Charlie Jones.
What did Charlie Jones do?
What did Charlie do?
Returned a kick for a touchdown.
Boo.
Oh, first play of the game?
Yeah.
Bengals? Yeah.
That's only 6 points.
But I mean, no, that's the right call. The guy returned a kick for a touchdown.
That's harder than making 4 field
goals.
goals.
Shout out to Will for making his kicks, but I mean, what, you're supposed to bat 80%.
And he batted 100%.
Exactly, out of 5. And so there's a 1 in 5 chance you hit all 5. Versus how often do you see a kick return for a touchdown?
Yeah.
Probably once a week.
No.
I think this might be the first.
You don't think so?
The kickoff?
Yeah.
With the new rules?
Yeah.
It's the
I
first.
don't think I've seen it.
It's the first 100-yard return of the season.
100-yard kickoff return. Pat Surtain has a 100-yard kick-six return.
Very true.
Pat? No, his was 100. There's only been 3 100-yard returns in Broncos history, pick-six returns. One was Champ Bailey. One was Akib. Yep. And then obviously,
there.
Oh, you were on the field, weren't you?
Yeah.
A casual. I was there too. I just.
You know how you usually act like you're trying to block somebody, but they're going too fast. I just. and then we'll celebrate.
It's the third of the season.
Third of the
Third?
season.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so almost every other week. Yeah.
No way.
You get like 4 kicker trades a game.
I said every other week.
No, you tried to say that it happens
Every other week.
often.
Yeah.
Yeah, every other week.
No,
That's
there's
fairly
32
often.
teams playing. So for it to happen,
Yeah.
what is it? We've been 7 weeks. It's almost every other week.
Yeah.
But I think that's way harder to do. I think there's way more kickers that have made 4 field goals in a game.
Man,
Yeah.
I will not stand this Will Lutz slander.
Nobody's
on-
slandering
no,
Will
no,
Lutz,
no.
though. We're just
I
saying like
gotta
the
protect-
It's a good
difficulty.
game.
I
but
gotta
it's
protect
just like-
the guys that are my size that are in the NFL, Todd.
Well, you know,
Yeah, you're giving yourself a little credit.
I don't know
there,
that returner could be close to your size. I don't even know his like
That's a
build or
good
makeup.
question.
You know.
Hey, I was just at a doctor's getting my annual physical, and my doctor was like, "Wow, you put on some weight since the last time I saw you." And I was
Wow.
like, I've been in the gym.
Was that when he was
Wow.
giving you your
It-
the
it-
cough check? the cough check? He said, "Wow."
I have a great female doctor.
Ah, very smart.
yeah.
Sounds great.
Um,
But you did say he said.
Did I say he?
You did.
Oh, okay.
So either
What were you gonna say, Henry? Probably some
nothing.
more Will Lutz slander.
I
or
just haven't
something?
been to the doctor in forever. Not since I broke my toes.
last year,
Yeah.
when you fell off the scooter.
No, didn't go to the toes were from kicking a dumbbell. The scooter was just trying to carry a coffee on one of those scooters. Yeah,
Well,
just a lot
Henry,
of cuts.
you might want to go see an eye doctor because
That's what I'm
if you haven't
told.
been to a doctor, I got to give a shout out to our friends over at Shady Rays. We're over at Shady Rays. They've got any type of sunglasses you could need, including ski goggles, which is coming up. They've also got sports goggles. They have any sort of sunglasses that you need. We love Shady Rays. We've all got a pair of Shady Rays. And what I love about Shady Rays, couple of things. First, all of their sunglasses are polarized, which is not the case. Typically, there's a massive upcharge for polarized sunglasses on certain websites, not at Shady Rays. And Shady Rays is affordable at the get-go, and then they're going to give you 35% off by using the code DNVR. Shady Rays are all over the country. Over 300,000 people have given them 5-star reviews. And if you want to get in, use that code DNVR over at shadyrays.com. Again, code DNVR for 35% off any pair of Shady Rays polarized sunglasses. Ski season's coming up, so you can get their ski goggles as well. Use that code DNVR over at shadyrays.com.
And shout out to our friends over at Toyota. You guys know Toyota is the official vehicle of the DNVR. And if you want to be protected, that winter is coming. You don't want to be slipping or sliding. You got to check our friends over at Toyota because they have 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the 4Runner, the Tacoma, the Land Cruiser. Winter is coming, so you definitely want to be in something that is safe in the snow. And if you want to still be able to go out and hike and ski, you have, the perfect vehicle to take you up to the mountains. So check out our friends over at Toyota. And we want you to visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. Specifically, the Auto Nation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, the Corwin Toyota in Boulder, the Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of the DNVR.
And speaking of official, shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365, the official presenting sponsor of this show. Really, really quick, I know you guys were talking about trades. Is DeAndre Hopkins good?
Well, we just talked about that. I think you called him half-washed.
Yeah.
That's what Hank said.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either. And then I was shocked that he had 1,000 receiving yards last year with the Titans. Like, blown away. Could not believe that. I guess you just go to Tennessee and you disappear. So, Todd, I'm
Yeah.
happy you never went to Tennessee.
Yeah, thank God. No, I think he's still a good receiver, but I don't think I'm like nervous that they got him.
That's
I
fair.
think we have 2 elite corners that
That's a good
it
point.
doesn't really like make me, scared to play that game. I think it's more so about matching up with, Pacheco when he gets back healthy and their running attack than it is actually trying to, lock down DeAndre Hopkins. We're going to do that. And
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes isn't playing well anyway, so
Man, I love that.
we'll be fine.
I love that, Todd. Okay, so let's look at some trades the Broncos could make to take you guys a little bit behind the scenes. I don't even know if you guys know this. Our headline for today's show originally had Cooper Kupp in the headline. Should the Broncos trade for Cooper Kupp or Alvin Kamara? Then yesterday, Alvin Kamara gets the extension, so scratch that out. I'm like, what name do I put in here now? Cooper Kupp or I put DeAndre Hopkins in. This morning, I'm like, no, scratch that one out. Cooper Kupp. Or, and there's a lot of names that I could have continued to go down the list. So let me throw out some names your way. And let's just start with the hottest name out there, maybe the best player out there, including DeAndre Hopkins in there, including Alvin Kamara in there as well. Cooper Kupp, should the Broncos have any interest in going and getting the Rams star receiver?
I think they should because for what Sean likes to do on offense, I think Cooper Kupp plays right into it. Short intermediate routes, get the ball at 5, take it to 15, 20. I think that's exactly what he does. So I think he would fit well in Sean's system. So they should be calling, seeing what's up with him. And I think he's a little bit different than the rest of the receivers we have. He's shorter, a little bit quicker, a little bit, get open quick guy. And I think he just will be a different body than what we have currently. So I think he would be a good fit.
Did you play against him at Sacramento State?
Not that I remember. Like, I don't know. Maybe I did, but I don't think he was like, the guy at the time.
Okay. Yeah. He was nasty. He played Montana 5 times, went over 100 every time. Like, one was a playoff game. Like, he was going for like 1,700 yards in college. So he's
Todd, how much does that mean when you destroy Montana? Does that mean a lot?
Not really.
Everyone
You're
does
supposed to, yeah. It's light work.
I'm kidding, Henry.
All-American 2013 to 16. So you would have 1 year, I guess.
2013. Yeah, that first year.
If you even played him.
But they split the conference, remember? Yeah,
so maybe
I don't know
not.
if I played him.
Was he an All-American all 4 years?
Yeah.
As a freshman too?
First team. No, I mean, he was a freak. And then he obviously immediately went to the NFL and was incredible also. But yeah, I've been a huge Cooper Kupp fan for a long time. I think that he's nasty. I think that he never really got as much respect as he deserves. He still has a whole bunch of records. Bro, I mean,
how did he not get respect?
What? So triple crown, most yards from scrimmage by a receiver in a single season, most receptions ever in a postseason, most receiving yards in a single season.
He was talking about every day on ESPN for like a month straight.
Totally. But I mean, like, you look through some of these records that he has, and it's like, it's like him and Jerry Rice and Randy Moss and some of that stuff. Like, it was a kind of a short peak there just because
phenomenal
of injuries.
Year, yes.
But, I mean, what he did is really, really ridiculous. But I think you have to be tempted by him just because he is so talented and different than what you have. But it's also just tough to justify taking snaps away from the young guys. And then you throw in the injuries, and then you throw in like I don't mind that the next 2 years you be giving him $20 million. If anything, that might be a bit of a steal if he winds up staying healthy. But it's just resource allocation, and that's a lot to give up for a receiver when you already have so many young guys.
Well, so Henry, would you call?
Oh, I'd call.
Okay, and Todd, you would call?
Yeah, we'll call.
You have to call. Now, George Payton, when he got to the Broncos, he said, I'm going to be involved in every potential trade. So he better be calling, and I would expect that he would be calling, and you have to call. This is a guy, when we talk about the Broncos as an entire team, tight end's probably their biggest weakness right now. Do you guys agree without diving too deep in? And then receiver is probably second on that list right there. And Todd, I agree with what both of you guys said, but Todd, he provides something that this offense and this receiving group doesn't have. And let's just start off with first a superstar that Cooper Kupp would instantly upgrade this receiving room. But then he would also open up Courtland Sutton so much more too, because we've talked about, there's Courtland Sutton as the number 1 receiver, and then just a massive drop-off. Now, hopefully Troy Franklin is stepping up and taking that role. Was really encouraged what I saw against the Saints and what he was able to do. But you still have that big drop. If you have Cooper Kupp, now you have a superstar, and then you have maybe the best number 2 receiver in the NFL in Courtland Sutton right there. And then, okay, can Troy Franklin become that number 3? And you feel a lot more comfortable about it. So I think that is an instant, wow, you just went from, man, you want more from this receiver room to like, okay, you're set, ready to rock and roll. The biggest issue with Cooper is his injuries. He's only played in 2 games this season, but in those 2 games, he has 147 receiving yards. That almost makes him the Broncos' second leading receiver if he were to join the team. And he's only played in 2 games. That just shows how good he is, but it also shows the injury concern. He has 18 catches in 2 games. I think 14 of those came in 1 game, which is just insane. Shows you how much of a superstar he is. but the injuries. And it's not just this year. It's not just that he's missed 5 games this season. He is healthy again, supposed to be playing again now. Last year, he missed 5 games due to injury. The year before that, he missed 8 games due to injury. And the year before that is when Von Miller and him teamed up, and he was that Triple Crown winner, 145 catches, almost 2,000 receiving yards, 16 touchdowns. But you do have to go back to 2021 for that. So if you're trading for Cooper Kupp, everyone better be realistic, from fans to Sean Payton to Bo Nix to George Payton making the trade for him, that you can't expect him to be healthy every single year moving forward now, especially at 31.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great fit for a lot of reasons. I think when you go back and watch some of what the Rams do, they spend a lot of time in empty. And it's just one-on-one matchups across the board, and Cooper Kupp just wins over and over and over. And the Broncos just don't have a guy who does that. It's kind of fun going back and watching against the Saints when, Troy Franklin's going up against whoever the 5th corner on the roster is, and there's one slant in particular who just cooks him and gets the ball, and he's running up the middle. You're like, oh, wow, Troy Franklin, maybe he does have that in his bag. And then the next quarter, he's lining up against Marshawn Lattimore, tries the exact same thing. It's like, oh, almost picked. Like, he's just not quite there yet. I think that if you bring Cooper Kupp in, you have that one-on-one man coverage beater. You also have somebody who I think could really help Bo Nix along. Like, I think there's a lot that he could learn working from a receiver like Cooper Kupp. Because again, like, you see off coverage, you just press hard and they sit right behind it. There's so many of those little things that I think you could build chemistry with. And then obviously the receivers too. Like, what does Troy Franklin gain working with Cooper Kupp? What does Marvin Mims gain? So I think that there's a lot of benefits to doing this. Again, just the price tag for what you're probably getting is very high.
Well, so let's talk about that price tag. But Henry, first, I just have to fully agree with you. I think that maybe of realistic wide receivers that are out there that the Broncos could get this year, next year, no one would help Bo Nix more than Cooper Kupp, because Bo Nix, and Sean kind of talked about this, about his footwork earlier this week, how his footwork seems a little fidgety. He's got, and it's once he moves beyond that first read is kind of when he starts getting happy feet. Exactly. Well, Cooper Kupp is a guy of anyone on this team that is going to get open right away, and is going to allow Bo to hit that first read really quick, or to be able to progress to the second read if Cooper Kupp's that second read so quick that it's going to help him kind of settle down. I think help his feet as well. Cortland's a great receiver, but Cortland's a deep ball guy, a guy that you throw the ball up to. He's not a guy that's open in 1 second. Not necessarily his fault, but the Broncos just don't set him up that way. So I totally agree with you, Henry. He would be so perfect for Bo.
So now the price. There.
What?
If he's out there.
Wait, what?
If he's out there.
100%. Yeah, if he's out there.
That's the biggest concern for me.
The other thing about Court is that, like, he's good at that stuff. Like, he can make those short catches, but he just uses his body so much that it's not like a catch and run. It's like a get there, box out, catch the ball, and there's a much there. Like, there isn't enough yards after the catch in this offense, and Cooper Kupp is somebody who adds a whole bunch of that.
I totally agree with you. So now, if he's out there, comes into play, plus the positive, the upside to what he would bring, what would you be willing to give up for him? Because there is a report out there that throws a draft pick out there. And before we talk about it, I want to know what you guys would give up for Cooper.
Third round draft pick.
Not a second?
Nah, I'm not giving him a second.
Okay, but a third round pick.
Yeah,
right now, you do it?
Yeah, because of the injuries. I think there's there's still risk involved, and they have to take on his, salary cap in this space. So I think a third round is reasonable.
Okay, so a second, you're done. You're hanging up the phone.
No.
Okay, Henry? What's most you give up?
I think there's a world in which you give up a 4th round pick and you still feel like you really made a big mistake, just financially, and like kind of you're going to be in some ways building around him the next couple of years, and if he just doesn't show up, that can really hold an offense back. Just ask the Rams. Like, how much different of a place would they be in if they had somebody more consistent, even if he isn't as good? So I would definitely give up a 5th. I'd potentially give up a 4th. I think there's I'd give up a 5th. I'd give up a 4th. I'll do it. Fine.
Okay, what about 3rd? The Rams say, just give us that 3rd.
I wouldn't.
We just want another day 2 pick. He's yours. He's yours. The 3rd round pick.
If you win the next 2 games and they take a bunch of his salary this year, then I could be tempted. I still think the smart answer would be no, though.
Okay, well, what if they take a bunch of his salary? Would you give up a 2nd?
No.
Okay, because there's this report coming out from Diana Rossini, who's very well connected, and she said the Rams have called multiple teams about trading Cooper Kupp, and the Rams have indicated a willingness to take on some of the 2024 salary in exchange for a second-round pick. So, with the salary implications, let's say they are willing to take on some of his $9 million salary this year. You still have the big cap hits and the big numbers in the following years. Would that help make it so you could do a little more than you'd be willing to give up?
No, because, I mean, a couple million is not worth, moving up a whole round. Like, I'd rather pay him that $5 million that you're going to eat instead of giving you a better pick. It's not worth it.
I totally agree. I'm right there with you, Todd. I would say if Diana Rossini's putting this out, this has to be coming from the Rams side. So the Rams are, hoping to get the second round pick and they're willing to throw a couple $1 million in. I'd say, no, you guys can save the $5 million. I'll do it for a third round pick. So that's where I'm at. I would do a third round pick. And you know what? You know who doesn't really care about cap space?
Broncos.
Sean Payton. Yeah, exactly. Look what he did with Noir. He's okay pushing things down the line. So I think Sean would say, no, let us keep the second. You guys can have the third. We'll take the cap space. And then the Broncos, you wouldn't plan on this, but the Broncos could get out of his contract after this season. I don't believe, there's only $5 million in guaranteed money next year, so maybe you're able to rework a deal with him. Now, if he goes out and balls out the rest of the season, he's probably wanting $30 million a season after this.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're just stuck with $25 million in dead cap the next 2 seasons as well. It's actually a pretty friendly contract next year. $20 million, the year after that, $19 million. So I'm doing it for a third round pick. And it is risky because of his injuries, but man, if he's healthy, he's going to be the best thing for this offense for Sean Payton and specifically Bo Nix.
Yeah, and I think people are saying like a third round pick is too high, but he's a good player still. And if you look at like the Broncos third round picks, I think he's more on par with like what that's worth than he is a fourth round pick. Because guys in the third round will be like Riley Moss, Jonah Ellis, Greg Dulcich, Quinn Miners. I think he's more along those lines. I think a third round pick is not too high for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. I think the Broncos are just in such a good place organizationally, just with all these young guys playing well and the depth is starting to show up, and you're going to be able to bring the whole defense back next year if you want to. You're not missing too many pieces. It would just be so nice to get a real full draft class in next year and just build from here. And then all of a sudden you feel like you're off and running. And that's why it's hard for me to give up like a top 100 pick. I will say though, like when you look at the Broncos receivers room, it is really young. And so, this year's second round draft picks, Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, Jalen Polk, A.D. Mitchell, like some good players in there for sure, but I would rather have Cooper Kupp than any of them, even if it is just for a short time, because you already have Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin and Devon Bailey, and what you need is something proven and trustworthy. So there is definitely a case to be made, but it's just too much risk for me at this time.
So you wouldn't do a third?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let us know in the Toyota chat. Where would you draw the line? Do you agree with Todd and I where you go third? Would you even go a second? Or are you more with Hank, like don't want to give up a day 2 pick? Or maybe you just don't want Cooper Kupp at all. Let us know, and we'll hit some of those. We have also got some other names to throw out to you before we talk to Brian Baldinger later in the show. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Westera Credit Union, where they were founded in 1934 right here in Colorado. They've got 9 locations now in the Denver metro area, and they're all about helping members financially prosper, with education being their thing. They were started by a group of 8 school teachers, so helping others is in their DNA. And as a member, you see that come through in every interaction they have. It's all about the community with these guys. And they just launched their 90th anniversary CD that offers 9% annual percentage yield. That's right, 9% yield on a 5-month CD. Henry, you know what CD stands for?
Certificate of deposit.
Boom! Wow,
yeah.
we got some bankers on this show. You both know what that is. Impressive. 9%, which is unreal, and you can start earning high interest rates as low as $500 and a max of $3,000. They're insured by the NCUA. This time, this offer will only be for a limited time, and you can check it out over wisterracu.com. Early withdrawal penalties apply. Fees reduce earnings. Rates accurate as of September 1st, 2021. New money and in-branch offer only. Limited time offer. Subject to change without notice. Renew membership agreement. Disclosures and information guide for additional details. Membership eligibility required. Insured by the NCUA.
And join UC Health's Ready, Set, Co challenge. They want to return Colorado to its rightful place as the healthiest state in the United States of America, but they obviously can't do that all by themselves. They need your help. So do things like Todd did and get a bunch of sleep by not taking his kids to school.
Don't say it like that.
Wasn't that what happened?
They still went to school. I just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you didn't
Made it
take
seem
your
like I
kids to
just-
school.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I said. You didn't take your kids to school. So yeah, get plenty of sleep, eat well. I just got some trail mix. Plan on keeping the trail mix in the car because I'm always struggling with breakfast. So it's just on the way to the podcast, eat the trail mix. I think it's a good plan.
So trail mix is also your lunch then.
I'm trying to keep it only a breakfast thing, but it will be sitting right next to me when I drive down to practice. So we'll see. But yeah, UC Health, they want to make us all healthier, and you can join them if you go to uchealth.org/readysetco. Click the link in the show notes, or like I said, uchealth.org/readysetco.
And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Also, make sure to go to thednvr.com. Become a diehard. That gets you access to all of our articles. We've got a bunch of articles coming in the next couple of days as well. And it's not just for Broncos. It's for all of our sports that we cover here. And it gets you a free shirt when you sign up. And we've got a limited time offer right now, $48, $4 a month. Join us. The support also helps us a ton. Also, subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit us with a thumbs up. We appreciate all of the love. Should the Broncos show some love to some other players on the market right now? Should they be interested in trading for other guys? You hear, you want to pull the next name up, such as Mike Williams. We talked about the receiver position. Mike Williams, after the Jets traded for Devontae Adams, he could be available. Should the Broncos go get him?
I think he's a solid piece, but I think he's very similar to what we have in some of the, size and body type. I think he's similar to the young guys we have on our roster. So, I think we should develop them. And, if we were in a position to make a run and just needed depth, like if we were going to the playoffs for sure and trying to make a push to the Super Bowl, I think he's a good piece to have for depth. But that's not us right now. So this year is all about developing our young players and, the older players that we have, making sure that they're still going to be a help to this team in the future. And I don't think that, we need Mike right now for this year.
Yeah. There's no need. He just doesn't add enough versus taking away touches. We'll knock on wood, but if the Broncos lose their next two games and maybe they do think about moving on from Cortland Sutton at the trade deadline, then maybe you bring in Mike Williams as a backup Cortland Sutton for the rest of the season, but even that's probably not worth it just because you'd rather get touches for the young guys.
Yeah, I would bring in Mike Williams if it's going to cost you a conditional 7th round pick or something. He's a solid player, but I don't think he's worth it. Like with Cooper Kupp, he instantly upgrades you. Mike Williams, I think he upgrades you a little bit, but I agree, is it worth taking those touches away from Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims? Yeah. I don't really know. So I would do it if it's and see, I agree.
Probably just don't give him his uniform.
That's why if he's coming for almost free, yeah, I do it. But also he's a guy where the upside isn't worth the risk of what you'd be giving up plus taking off the field. Plus, he's a guy that only played 3 games last year, so he does have that injury concern as well, with just not enough upside. So we're all passing on that. Let's go to another receiver, in Adam Thielen, who the Broncos are playing this week. After the Broncos beat the Panthers, should they turn around and go trade for Adam Thielen?
I like Adam Thielen. He's a good guy. He was my teammate in Minnesota. Similar to Cooper Kupp as far as the role he would play on the offense. And, he's not been his best the last 2 years, but he really hasn't had much help at quarterback either. Older guy, veteran guy. And I think he's another guy, if we're making a push, I think, he's good to have. But I don't necessarily feel like we need Adam Thielen right now.
Yeah. He's not, I wouldn't call him a game changer. But it's again similar to Cooper Kupp in some ways, but he's
you
just
can probably
not,
get him for a lot cheaper than Cooper too.
Exactly, because he's not as productive. Still had 1,000 yards last year with Bryce Young, which is impressive. But who else was there? Who were they giving the ball to? He'd be a nice piece. I think that at 34 years old, though, he's probably. I'm not sure that he's going to have the juice that you need at the end of the year.
I would do this in the fastest heartbeat you can do, assuming he's going to be nearly free. A 7th, 6th round pick. He is Cooper Kupp light, and in fact, right now might be just a more sure thing than Cooper Kupp. To have 1,000 receiving yards last year and 100 catches, he got 75% of his passes thrown his way. That's insane for a guy that got almost 140 targets in a season. Is his ceiling as good as Cooper Kupp? No, but he's been healthier a lot more recently than Cooper Kupp as well. And if the Panthers are in full sell mode, you do this. I think if you're thinking about doing it for Cooper Kupp, you do it for Adam Thielen. He is 34 years old, so this isn't a long-term move.
That was my thing.
It's more so making a push this season, I think.
I don't know. I don't know if we're ready for that. Like, honestly, I don't think that we're ready to make a push to the Super Bowl. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task. You got to go to the playoffs. You got to win in the first round. You got to lose in the second round. You got to lose in the third round. Then finally, that fourth year, you find a way to get it done. So I just think that, it will be a short-term fix. But then after 2 years, when we're really going to the Super Bowl, we still would have to fill that role again.
Well, without a doubt. And this is a push to get to the playoffs. This isn't a Super Bowl push. I agree with you. The Broncos are in that spot right now, but you do kind of need different pushes that you're making, and I think Adam Thielen would be a big upgrade here. I think having Cortland, him, and Troy Franklin on the field, that's a dynamic receiving core right there, just for this year. But you're giving up a 6th, 7th round pick, so you're not really hurting your future as much. I see where you guys are coming from, but I am a little surprised that if you'd be interested in Cooper Kupp, that you wouldn't be interested in Adam Thielen.
I think there's just more of an upside, and there's a longer career here as a Bronco.
Yeah.
He and Bo Nix could form a relationship that lasts maybe 4 or 5 years, as opposed to this being a 2-year thing.
Fair.
Yep.
Very fair. The Toyota chat hates that idea, so they more so agree with you guys. And let's get to another wide receiver here. Our last wide receiver that I want to hit before I got 2 other names for you. Christian Kirk. The Jaguars are 2-5? They're just in disaster mode. Would you be willing to look at a guy that has 25 receptions and 320 yards this year?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone.
You guys
Make
really
the phone
sound
call.
convinced.
It'd probably be a good move.
And he's young enough to where if it worked, it could still work.
Yeah, you have him for a while. He's probably on a good team. He's like a number 2, maybe even number 3 receiver. Slot, but more versatile than a slot. He's fast.
He puts up Cortland Sutton numbers. So
exactly.
He's a number 2 at least.
Yeah, but I think at some point the goal needs to be getting some sort of game changer. And if all of a sudden, I'm not sure what his contract looks like, but if you're giving him $20 million a year next year, I'd be happy just to keep Court instead and not trade for somebody, just to give him that contract and then not bring back Court. Just seems like a lot of extra steps for a guy who I don't see as a game changer. Good, fine player, but not tempted.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, if you're getting him on a deal, I'm just not sure you're really doing that. He's 28 years old, so he is on the younger side of these receivers that we talked about. He's the most productive one that the Broncos have, or that's on the market right now. 320 yards would come in and instantly lead the Broncos in receiving. This would kind of be a hybrid move between going all in this year, but then more of a play for the future as well, because he can play right now. I just think that this trade probably wouldn't line up. I think the Jaguars would want a little too much for a guy who I agree is like a number 2 receiver right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, what are they paying Josh Reynolds? 4.5 a year? I think I'd rather have Josh Reynolds at 4.5 a year than Christian Kirk at 20 something.
That's fair.
Christian Kirk is a better player, but it's just a lot of money because that position's overpaid.
It's very fair. Going very different route with this next player, but this player is very hot on the trade talk right now. Myles Garrett.
No.
Would you guys consider this at all?
Hell no. It just disrupts what we talked about yesterday with Nick Bonito on the show. You got 4 young outside linebackers that you already have to make a decision on, as well as Drew Sanders coming back next year. We have guys in that room that we feel like could be productive. Myles Garrett is one of the best outside linebackers, one of the best defenders in football right now. But it just throws another wrench into this, crazy puzzle we're trying to figure out. And I don't know if we have a Myles Garrett on the team, but we have very, very talented pass rushers. And I want to see what they do, at least for this year. Now, at the end of the year, if we feel like nothing worked the way that they wanted to, and we, making a push to, go get a edge guy, I think he's a perfect fit for the team, but just not right now.
I'm tempted. Just
crazy.
Because it'd be 3 seasons, this year, the next 2, at $20 million a year. And that for Myles Garrett is a steal.
Now let me throw out some trade. I looked at a couple of articles doing some mock trades. Don't know if these are right. Every single deal had multiple first round picks involved,
and that's
for him.
the thing. And that's why if they do try to trade him, it's just going to be such a bidding war that I don't think it's worth it. I think that value wise, if you can get him for if you trade 2 first round picks for Myles Garrett, he's going to be worth it.
No, he's not. Not on this team right now. Our defense is the strongest piece of our team right now. To go get another defender it wouldn't make sense. And 2 first-round draft picks, we need to be drafting a wide receiver and a tight end. Or a wide receiver and an O-lineman. There are definite needs on the offensive side of the ball that I would not give up 2 first-round picks for anybody that doesn't play offense right now.
I agree. But again, 2 first-round picks for Myles Garrett at that contract is there's a clear winner and loser to that deal. But yeah, Broncos just don't make sense to be outbidding the teams who, $20 million a year is contender money. That's the 49ers saying wait, we can get this guy. We'll find a way to give you the picks to make it happen and cut salary elsewhere. Broncos just probably don't. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's given the 2 first-round picks is where I say no. Obviously, you're so right on the money, Hank. You do it for the money, but with the picks, Broncos need that on the offensive side. And so a lot of people are saying, well, what about the guy on the other side of the Cleveland Browns, the guy that in practice might block Myles Garrett? And the last guy I want to get to, David Njoku, the tight end for the Browns, who has 20 catches this year, 165 yards, a touchdown. He has more catches, receiving yards, touchdowns than all of the Broncos combined this season. Should the Broncos be interested in going after a tight end such as David Njoku?
Without a question. I think that's one of our biggest needs right now. It's a tight end that can be a game changer. He's big, he's fast, physical, run after the catch. I think he's a good tight end, and I think he would be a good piece for Sean Payton and this offense.
Yeah. My only concern is that this is an offense or a coach at the very least who wants to build around his tight end and running back. And David Njoku, and he's not Travis Kelce or George Kittle or even Mark Andrews. I think that there's this list of guys that
I think he was a top 5 tight end last year once he got the football.
He wouldn't be far off. He definitely wouldn't be far off.
He did
I'm
have
not sure
882 receiving yards and 81 catches and 6 receiving touchdowns. So probably top.
And a slew of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yep.
4 or 5 different quarterbacks.
Yep. Definitely. I
think he's good.
He's right there. And he's gotten better as a blocker, which is kind of the other piece, I think, when it comes to tight end for this offense, just because you have so many one-dimensional players on offense right now. You don't have a lot of guys who do a bunch of different things. In fact, I'm struggling to think of maybe Javonte. Javonte can do different things, but bringing a guy like that, you have to be tempted at the very least. And the money isn't bad. Again, $20 million. Is that what it is? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm still looking at Myles Garrett. I think it's less. It's $15 million the next 2 years. Yeah, you should probably be tempted.
Would you give up a 3rd-round pick? He is 28 years old, so still under 30.
I think you'd have to. I would.
Todd?
Why not?
3rd round? Oh, man. I would like to give up a 4 for Njoku. I would like to.
Well, the deal's done if you're willing to give up a 3rd.
Dang.
Just got off the phone with their GM.
Oh,
If Todd says yes to the 3rd, you got David Njoku.
I'm looking back at our 3rd-round draft picks. We do really well in the 3rd round.
Yep.
You got everybody
doesn't guarantee future success.
Everybody from Eric Decker to Nate Irving to Ronnie Hillman, Kayvon, Quinn Miners.
Bring me some of those corners that names aren't
Riley Moss. Dang, that's tough.
Yeah.
What about the comp pick that they could get if they let Jarrett Stidham walk?
Yeah,
And that's a third.
I'll give you that one.
So like, you trade away your third, and then you get the comp pick for the third.
You're not
if you
getting
let
a third
Stidham.
comp pick for Stidham. You think so?
It will be close. I have to go through the numbers. But yeah, if he gets on a $5 million a year contract, you might be close. My fear with Njoku is just that you're buying him potentially at his peak. Like, he has one Pro Bowl in his career, and it was last year. And tight ends are late bloomers, so maybe he's just off and running now. But if you wind up looking back on this and saying, you did just buy him at the highest price, it would be disappointing. But again, it's $15 million for a couple of years. It's not the end of the world.
And I've always felt like I've watched the Browns games. Like, why don't they use him more? Like, last year was the first time I'm like, they're finally using him the way that they need to.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think he's past his peak. I think he's in his prime as long as he's utilized the right way.
Yeah. And the Broncos can afford just to build around him. Because that's the thing about having a tight end who you want to live up to the hype, is that you really have to focus on doing it.
Yes.
But the Broncos can justify doing that because, again, what else? What other targets are they really locked into right now?
Yeah, 100%. He would help this offense so much. All right, let's ask our guy, Brian Baldinger, after I give a shout out to our friends over at the Upswing Foundation, which the Upswing Foundation is the only youth sports foundation based in Colorado's Mile High Training Grounds that provides access to world-class programs alongside top athletes for kids of all backgrounds in order to connect to people and catapult dreams. And in Upswing Centennial, they have an open house on November 3rd from 1 to 3 p.m. where you can come and meet their performance coordinators and dance coaches. And they have a new sports facility on University Boulevard in Centennial, which is where you would go for that open house to find out more information and to meet these coaches. Athletes under 18 can sign up for classes at upswingfoundation.org/login or by downloading the Upswing Foundation app. DNVR listeners get 20% off all services when you use promo code DNVR20 at checkout. That's code DNVR20 at checkout. Upswing also offers scholarships to qualifying athletes under 18 years of age to train in sports performance, dance, and recovery in their new state-of-the-art facility in Centennial.
Also, check out our friends over at Empire. We love their floors. They're the best floors. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I don't really have any new floor stories recently. Ooh, I did see a mouse at the grocery store that was running around on the floor.
They probably need new floors.
Yeah. No, it was
wouldn't shop
not
there.
ideal under the bread aisle.
Don't shop at the King Supers in downtown then, right? I would imagine.
Yep, there we go. There we go.
That's disgusting. Yeah.
So that sucks. I'm not sure. You'd have to reach out to Empire to see if they have some sort of like mouse repellent floor. I doubt it, but hey, they've got almost anything, so you might as well go and check it out. They've got a whole bunch of cool tools like their virtual floor designer, so that you can take like you just use your phone. It's a little app, and then you get to see what different floors would look like in your home. Great service, great company, and if you you can schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empire.com or empiretoday.com/DNVR for details.
And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. And speaking of great company, let's jump out and talk to great company, our guy, Brian Baldinger. Baldy, another suit, man. You are bringing your A game recently.
Yeah, I get trapped sometimes in doing some of the stuff I got to do. So sometimes I got to try to keep it together, put it together. So that's where we're at today, guys. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you
Good
too,
to see you,
Baldy.
Baldy.
Yeah.
And Baldy, I don't know if you were just coming from Jets. Sometimes you are coming from the Jets facility, and you say sometimes you get trapped in places. Man, that's not a place I want to be trapped right now. That's a tough place to be. On the other hand, the Broncos are not a tough building to be in right now. 4-1 in their last 5 games. You look at the Broncos, they're the 7th seed in the AFC playoffs. If it were to end right now, I know there's a lot of time left in this season, but we're seeing trades go down left and right in the NFL, including a couple since we've been on the show today. And the hottest name on the market right now is Cooper Kupp. Should the Broncos consider making a big move to go get a guy like Cooper Kupp?
That'd be a great fit. He's just a great fit. I mean, he does everything the right way. I mean, he's a worker. He's all about team. He's an excellent blocker. He gets open like he gets open as easy as anybody in this business. He's had some injuries down the last 2 years, so I don't know just the overall health and if that's a big concern with these teams. But he's a guy that I would want because I know he'd be part of any good culture in the NFL. Like that's what type of person, what type of player he is.
Cooper Kupp does a great job of getting open, and like we saw on Thursday night, there was a couple open receivers on the Broncos that Bo Nix missed. Were you surprised by how he missed his wide open guys, and is that something that they can correct quickly so that he can play much better as the season goes on?
Well, I mean, it looks like there's a shift right now in who he's throwing to. It was Troy Franklin on Thursday night. It was Devon Vile. It was, Lucas Krull. Like there's a new group. It looks like. We didn't see much of Cortland at all. We didn't see any of Josh Reynolds. So, maybe it's just building timing with some of these young guys. Although, Troy Franklin, he's known him forever. So, but look, that's a heavy man-to-man team in New Orleans. They're not going to give you a lot, although they wiped them up pretty good. But I don't know if anybody plays as much straight man-to-man as what New Orleans does, and so they make it difficult, in some cases.
I'm curious, the two big targets that we've talked about are Cooper Kupp and David Njoku. I'm curious which one you think would be more valuable to the Broncos, just given all that goes into that production and age and injuries and everything.
Well, I think Njoku would probably be a better addition right now, simply because I don't know what tight end you can trust. We saw Krull make some catches the other day. He has all the size that you're looking for, runs pretty good. But Njoku has been an elite player in this business. When they got him going last year, the offense opened up. He's got the size, the ability after the catch. Like he's a talented player, and he just needs a better system and a quarterback right now. If he's available, I would make the inquiry if I was Denver. I know he would help him in the red zone and over the middle. I think it'd make life a little bit easier for the rookie quarterback right now to upgrade that position.
And speaking of Bo Nix, that rookie quarterback, Baldy, Bo has the fourth most rushing yards among quarterbacks in the NFL right now, 75 rushing yards against the Saints. Do the Broncos and Sean Payton need to lean into that even more moving forward and really have even more designed runs for him?
Now, he's talented. He has an ability now to make people miss and to see the lanes down the field. You just always worry about, even if you look at what's happening in Washington right now, and you look at Jaden Daniels. I think in the first play of the game last week against Carolina, he goes 46 yards on a read option, and I know he got hurt on that play. He held it together for another 8 or 9 plays, but I think he got hurt in that play, and it looked like kind of routine run. He got hit, but it didn't look like it was exceptionally hard. But he was grabbing that left rib the rest of the day until they replaced him. So that's the danger, and that's the concern is. Yes, you have the rules in place to slide and protect yourself. Some of these guys know it and will use it. Sometimes they're just being aggressive and competitive, and they end up putting themselves in harm's way. So that's the concern if you start dialing up more design runs for him, which he's very good at.
Baldy, I want to keep talking about the Broncos rushing attack. In this Thursday night game, they had over 200 yards rushing. And I know they played a Saint team that gave up 51 points the week before. But is this rushing attack the real deal, or was that a product of playing a team that's not really good right now?
I think I don't know what's happened to that defense. We know a lot of the same names, but they're not playing well. Demario Davis has led that team in tackles probably every year he's been there. He's a great player. He's just invisible right now. So they're not playing well at all. And the team you're going to see this weekend was terrible last week against Washington and all the things that they did in the run game. It will change the next 2 weeks when you see Baltimore and Kansas City. It's going to change. So you probably get a bigger field, bigger test. But I just think ever since that second half against the Jets, Javonte looks like Javonte more of his rookie season than what we saw maybe last year or the first 3 weeks this year. So I think he's running the ball much better. The stats say that he is, but I also think getting McGlinchey back probably helped. They block better, but I think the opponents also make a difference too, and just how porous New Orleans defense is.
Yeah, well, and then they follow up the Saints game with a game against the Panthers, another team that isn't all that impressive. Do you think that that's maybe valuable for a young team just to have some reps against a couple of teams that they should beat up on just before they get into the rest of the season where things are going to get tougher?
Yeah, you would like to see them treat the way you treat Carolina, the way they treated New Orleans. Like, not even let them in the game. Take the game away from them, and play with the lead, and get the lead, and wipe bad teams up. And that's a confidence builder, knowing that they're not in the bottom rung of this business anymore. Like, they can take care of business against teams that are struggling and finish them off. Because when they see Baltimore and Kansas City, they're going to see two of the best. You're going to see the best offensive football. You're going to see the best defense, in my mind, in football in Kansas City. So you're going to get real, and it's going to be on the road. So they're going to get tested, and they'll find out a lot more. But build your confidence up. Find the plays that you're good at right now. Try to establish those basics that you want to, win the line of scrimmage with, and play turnover-free football. Those things always give you a chance when you see, two of the better teams in this business the next 2 weeks.
Baldy, last one for you. I am not concerned about this Carolina Panthers team one bit. Some people say I'm overlooking them. I don't think the Broncos are going to overlook them, but if there's anything the Broncos need to be concerned about with this Panthers team for them possibly pulling off an upset, what would it be?
Well, it would be, before last week against Washington, Chuba Hubbard was the third leading rusher in this business, and the offensive line played very well. It's the same 5 starters. Now, Washington did a great job last week of shutting him down. 7 of his 17 runs last week went for a yard or less. So their run defense and run fits was spot on. So I'd get after Chuba Hubbard. Like, that's the one thing in all this losing that they've done well. They've run the ball pretty well. The right guard, Robert Hunt, is a very, very good player. They paid a handsome price for him, but he's a good player, and he moves body. So, to me, if I'm Vance Joseph, I'm on that defense, like, that's my concern, that they get the running game going and they establish confidence in it.
Huge. I love it, Baldy. Thank you so much for your insight. We look forward to talking to you about probably a 5-3 Broncos team next week.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice for, because they got, like I said, 2 tough games coming up on the road, and they're going to find out an awful lot about the trajectory of this team going forward.
Yeah, and we're going to need your input on those teams as well. Thank you so much, Baldy. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Always love talking to our guy, Brian Baldinger, and always love talking to the listeners. We got a lot of super chats that we got to hit before we get out of here. First one coming in from Guile Garcia, who says, bold prediction and hot take, Bo Nix over 300 passing yards and Sutton over 100 receiving yards this week.
I would love to see that. I really would love to see that.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. I don't know if we will, but, I would love to see it.
Yeah, opportunities will be there. Just got to hit the receivers. They need to catch the ball, and you're good.
I love it. Greg S. says, as someone close to someone with a brain injury, Tua should be careful, if not for himself, for his family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the most important thing. I mean, he's made enough money to take care of his family. Like, he's done a good job. He's been a great man. And I don't know if he should put himself at risk, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and he's making that decision with, I guess, a clear enough head right now. And so I guess it's good that he knows the risks going into it right now. But he's the one making that decision. So I hope he stays safe.
Yeah. The $200 million definitely factors in, though.
Yep.
Like, if he, I would imagine if he was playing for free, the decision would be different.
That's a good point.
Maybe he loves
Next
the game.
one from Brianna Moon, who says, hey guys, been watching the show
Brennan.
religiously the last few years. Finally became a diehard yesterday. About time, right? Thanks for the great shows. I believe. Let's frickin' Bo. Love that. Let's go. Thank you so much for the super chat and for becoming a diehard as well.
Thanks, Brennan.
Oh, Brennan, sorry. Thanks, Brennan. Appreciate you. And then Mile High Sing rounds us out with 2 super chats. Says, Broncos need either Cooper Kupp or David Njoku. Bo needs weapons. And then Mile High Sing rounds us out by saying, Todd, what was the vibe like when the Broncos traded for Vernon Davis in 2015?
Vibe was high. I think I like Vernon. I mean, he's a good dude. And,
Good actor.
everybody had seen his highlights and watched him play and saw him run his 40. Like, we all love what Vernon Davis did, so I think the vibes are extremely high.
I love it. I love it. All right, you here?
Real quick, guys. Also, Don't forget to go to the DNVR tailgate. We will be doing the pregame show there. You get to see the show
Live.
with Todd, Jarrell, No Sean. It's going to be great. Don't forget to hit that up. It's going to be a good time.
And make sure you're there extra early for that show. It's still going to be going live at the same time, but they're going to be pre-recording it, I believe. So make sure to get to the tailgate early. And we still have one more show left tomorrow, 10 a.m. Thank you, Todd, Henry, Yahir, and everyone listening for rocking and rolling with us today. We'll be back tomorrow with our final predictions for the game. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.